Thank you for waiting
Sweet, no worries.
so much. Sorry. Okay, so yeah, tell me about your morning. You were talking, you were telling me something about your morning. Usually what time do you wake up? At 6:30? It's very early. I was very surprised when you told that. How do you
Yes.
spend your morning? How do you spend your mornings?
So we usually get up at 6:30, go for a run or workout with some of the other volunteers here, have breakfast, shower, get ready, and then by 8:30 we're studying. By that time we sit down, we're studying. Yeah.
Now, during the coronavirus and everything, do you study at home, like from home?
Yes, yeah. So we study. Well, first of all, we study like the scriptures, and then the like Russian language. We just study all of that by ourselves. We've got a lot of grammar books and dictionaries and different things. Hmm.
Do you have some checking? Like sometimes, I mean, your Russian language, you're studying language yourself, and does someone check you sometimes, like what your level is, how you speak, and everything?
Um, Not really. So usually how it works with the volunteers here is that there'll be somebody who's been in the country for a lot longer, kind of paired up as companions with somebody who's a lot younger. So for me, I've only been in Russia for 6 months, but at the moment, my companion, Elder Carlson, he's from Sweden. He's been here a year and 8 months. So he speaks Russian very good. So he corrects me all the time and tells me what I'm saying wrong and how to say
Oh,
it better.
okay. So when he corrects you and tells you like this is wrong, it's better to say like that. What do you feel? Like, what do you feel learning a new language, and especially when you make mistakes?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. I think that all of us, um, everybody learning a second language or a third or fourth language has to put up with is making mistakes, because if we don't make mistakes, we're not going to improve. Nobody's going to get it perfect the first time. So sometimes, I get a little bit like, oh man, I just can't get this right. I always say that wrong, or I always use the wrong word for that thing. But as long as I understand that he's correcting me because he cares about me, he loves me, he wants me to speak better, it's okay.
Wow, that's such a good thing to say about without making mistakes, we will not improve. It's such a good thing. I always tell that my students and everybody who is learning something, who is in the moment learning something. So I totally agree with you. Like, and sometimes even um, I think every person is learning something like in any moment of his life, and if we think like, oh, that's so hard and I'm making mistakes, I'm not gonna have the good results or something, we will never achieve anything. So uh, I agree with you. And and do you think it's really helpful to have the companion who is always able to correct you, like he's like your you know he's like kind of a mother who is bringing you up in some kind of sphere.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he's been a good help for me, and of course, if I didn't have a companion who was much older than me, so maybe the same, like has been in Russia the same amount of time as me, um, especially now because we're in quarantine, we're not talking to people out on the street as much. Um, so we need to have that experience so that I can learn. Otherwise, we'd just be sitting in here speaking English all the time, which we don't want to do because we want to learn Russian.
Yeah, so daily when doing some routines, you speak English with your companion.
At the moment, we have a goal to every second day speak fully Russian.
Oh my God, so how is it?
We're
How's it
not
going?
the most diligent at it. We try, I guess, and of course, if we know how to say something in Russian, we should say it in Russian first, even on the days when we're not speaking Russian. Um, but yeah, it gives us a good challenge that we need to speak Russian, or at least try to think about how we would say it in Russian. And then if we don't know, go find out, go read some books or look on Yandex or something.
Oh my God, thank you. That's such a good advice, you know. Learning different language. You can take a couple of days a week really talking completely that language. If you have like the level, um, like not the beginner, but some kind of um, you know how to name this level. It's when you know how to say something, but you don't say. This is
Intermediate.
that one.
We
Yeah.
had a when we were in the volunteer school in America, they taught us I guess this learning principle. It's called SYL, which stands for Speak Your Language, or Gisiya по-русски, говорить свой язык.
Yeah.
And so what it is there's kind of I guess um, five principles, and I'll try to remember them. So the first one is speak in your learning language first. So say it in your learning language.
I'm
If you don't
writing,
know,
you know, I'm writing. Speak your learning language first.
yeah, I can send this later as well. And then because I'm not sure if I remember it all, but the second one is if you don't know how to say it, um, oh no, I forgot. I think it's find out how. So find out how to say it. So like if I don't know how to say how are you today, I'll go find out how. Go look in the books, read something, find out how. And then I think third is write it down.
Yeah, probably write it down because
Yeah. Oh, actually no, sorry, I skipped a step. The second step is ask for permission to speak in your native language. So that way, so we would just say можно по-английски because you don't know how to say it. Then that way you don't just immediately jump to your learning language. You are kind of thinking like, oh man, I need to ask for permission. Like, oh, can I say this in English, please? And then they can say yes or no. So
is
then,
it
anyway,
possible to like skip that tip, the second one? But you know, it can sound like impolite when you just start
yeah,
the language or something. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, it's not super important one. It just makes you think like, okay, I need to try this in the language that I'm learning.
Uh-huh.
So then, yeah, it was write it down, and then study and apply. So after you write it down, you need to study it, keep practicing, and then apply it. So next time you want to say that same thing, you can say it in Russian or
Yeah.
whatever language you're learning.
These tips are, you know, they are very easy to take it and do like immediately, and they are very helpful, I guess, because you know when we are teaching our students in our school, we also take these tips, like we also use them, and that's very easy. It's our method to learn. It's our method to teach English, because if we find some word which we need, we just make the sentence immediately with this word and find the context where we can use it. Very helpful tips. I will write it down. I have already written it down, and I'm going to like share that with my students. Thank you. Oh my God. Thank you so much. Okay, so how much time do you have, by the way? Like, is it till 10 or it's like 50 minutes? Tell me so that I can make my list of questions shorter if we need.
So we can go up to 10 pretty much. Yeah,
Mhm.
at 10 I have a meeting, but we can go all the way up to 10. That's fine.
Oh, thank you. Okay, that's very nice. So, first part, it was kind of questions about your life just now, for now. So, first one, I have a list of questions, so I will probably sometimes take a look at it, okay? Yeah, the first question is, how are you? How are you doing now? And mm, where are you?
Okay. So at the moment, I'm living in Novosibirsk.
Mhm.
Not too long ago, I was living in Krasnoyarsk, which is where I met Anastasia. Nastia.
Yeah.
But at the moment, I'm doing good. I'm still in quarantine just because of our church wants us to be extra safe. We're allowed to go out multiple times a day and go buy products and like groceries. But most of the time we spend indoors just because we don't want to spread the pandemic. Not that we have it,
Yeah.
but to be
Yeah.
extra safe.
I got you. Is the pandemic going like in Krasnoyarsk? The pandemic like process, I mean, is that the same in Novosibirsk like in Krasnoyarsk? I mean, people with masks, people are not allowed to go by bus without a mask or something. Um, Visiting the shop or something without mask is also not allowed. Is it the same or it's a little bit different?
From what I've seen, it's pretty similar. We wear a mask every time we go into the shop, and most of the time there's a security guard there, like telling you to put your mask on. We haven't been on public transport; we just walk around. So I'm not sure about that, but I think it would be similar. Yeah.
Okay, I got you. Okay, yeah. So what do you do in Russia? Like to just tell our people who are you so that they can imagine your personality or something. What do you do in Russia, and what is uh, mm, yeah, just what do you do in Russia? Why are you here?
Yeah, no worries. So here in Russia, I am here for 2 years as a volunteer for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. По-русски я поговорю.
Yeah,
Церковь
of course.
Христа Святых Последних Дней. So here as volunteers, I guess our goal is to help people come unto Christ. So a lot of that time, that means just helping people in whatever way. Of course, we have members of our church here in Russia that we spend time with, help them, I guess learn with them, study the scriptures and things like that. But also we want to help people in any way. We believe that we are, I guess, disciples of Jesus Christ in a way. So we want to do like what Jesus would do, and he would help people. He would, be nice to people, serve them in any way that he could. So that's what we want to do as well.
Wow, wonderful. Everything you say just impresses me to think like there are people in the world who are always with you, who are always for you. They are always around you, and you have someone to ask for help or something. That's very impressive, and it makes me feel very warm inside. So thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Being here in Russia, what makes you what makes you surprising, or what um, mm, what just make the good impression? What was the first? Oh no, that question. What was the first impression of Russia when you came here? What was the first city, by the way? It was the Krasnoyarsk, right? So.
So I guess I probably have three first impressions. The first one is when I arrived to Moscow, and it was at the airport of Moscow. It was very big, very flash, fancy. I thought, wow, this is cool. Russia is nice and big and fancy. I liked it. Then I had to catch another 6-hour flight to Novosibirsk. When I arrived at Novosibirsk, it was, I think, 4 in the morning. It was end of February, so it was pretty cold. And coming out onto the street there in Novosibirsk, it was early in the morning, dark, cold, and I guess it was not as beautiful as what Moscow airport was. So when I arrived to Novosibirsk, I thought, wow, I'm really in Siberia now. This is snow and big piles, cars, all over the road. But then I flew to Krasnoyarsk, and again, a nice airport there. Came out onto the street, nice sunny day, lots of trees around, and I thought, wow, this is a big city and a nice, pretty city as well.
Okay, good. Living now in Novosibirsk, which city feels better for you? Which is maybe close to you, Krasnoyarsk or Novosibirsk? I think
So I haven't seen too much of the city here in Novosibirsk yet because I only arrived last week or maybe a week before that. So of course I know Krasnoyarsk better. I've been to Ostrov Tatashev and Stolby and lots of other places there. But I think Novosibirsk is gonna be good as well. We've walked past the Opera House here, which is beautiful, massive building. So I think with time, I'll come to love Novosibirsk as much as I do Krasnoyarsk. Just need to spend time here with the people and see the sights.
Okay, nice. By the way, about sites, which is the site in Krasnoyarsk about? Oh my God, I need to remake my question. What was the site in Krasnoyarsk which you saw and it made you very very impressed?
I think, man, there's a few different ones, but the first one that comes to mind. Oh, can I say two? I have two, I
Yeah, of
guess.
course.
So the first one, when I first arrived to Krasnoyarsk, we went to Stalby.
Mm-hmm.
So it was still winter a bit. I think it was -16, which I know is not that cold for people from Russia, but that's cold for me.
Yeah.
Um, but walking up to Stolboy with all the snow around and the beautiful trees and everything, it was like it reminded me of Nani or something like that because it was so beautiful and all the snow. And then when we got to the top, seeing Stolboy, the pillars, the rocks, was very beautiful and amazing. We got lots of photos. It was quite cold because of the wind, but I still liked it, and it's still a place that I am still impressed by today. I would like to go there in summer, but I didn't have the opportunity. But another time I hope to go. And the second place is, of course, Tatashev, Ostrov Tatashev. In the winter, I think we went there once to go ice skating, and I thought it was all right, like an ice skating rink. I didn't really know there was much else on the island. But when summer came around and we started to go there a bit, I was impressed. It's just full of energy and like life, I guess, with all the people roller skating, biking around, walking. I know we went there for a walk one time,
Yeah.
and it's so fun. All the different food stalls and the workout areas. My last companion and I went and played basketball there a few times and talked to people, and that was a lot of fun. So I like that island as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like the same opinion. Like I always come to Tatashev to get some active energy to see people doing something. They're very active. They're going there with their families and everything. It's the good place to spend time together with someone and also to spend it actively. Very like to do some sports or something. So yeah, agree. Like kind of a zone in the middle of the like city with the some skyscrapers. That's wonderful. Okay, good. And the last question, like, why could you first recommend the Krasnoyarsk to foreigners to visit? And if so, why?
Definitely. I think um, although Krasnoyarsk is so far away from even Novosibirsk and let alone Moscow, it's like right in the kind of middle of Siberia, I guess. I would definitely recommend it. And like for the reasons that I already said, Stalby, Ostrov Tatashev, I know you can go snowboarding and skiing, Krasnoyarsk in the winter. But also, I think a main reason why I would recommend it is the people. Most of the people that we spoke with and got to know were very friendly and nice. And especially, I guess, to me, because I'm from somewhere so far away, um, people wanted to talk with us. So if anybody from overseas or international went to Russia and went to Krasnoyarsk, I think that people would like them because it's very exciting how far away they are, coming all the way to the middle of Siberia. It's cool.
Yeah, you said like people when they, so you said people wanted to talk to you because you are so like far away from Krasnoyarsk and from Russia even, and you mean that also every time like they met you, they started talking to you since the moment they knew you're from New Zealand.
Most of the time, yeah. Of course, still some people would be like, "Oh, wow, that's cool.
Where
Bye."
is it, New Zealand?
Bye. But most people were interested, and that's one thing that I've heard from a lot of the other volunteers here is that most people we talk to on the streets are interested in us because we're foreigners, we're from far away, and why we're here is interesting as well. So it's very exciting for us.
Yeah, when people in Russia met you, what questions do they usually ask you about? Like, what did they ask you about? Usually, most of the people.
Um, for me, that obviously the same questions that we've already spoken about, like why am I here? I guess what's New Zealand like? So I tell them a little bit about that. They also, most of them have seen Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit, so they want to ask me a little bit about that, which is cool. I like those movies, so that's all good.
I have such a question too. I'm going to ask you about New Zealand because it's really like the world apart. It's like the right meaning. I have no different way to say, because it is actually far away from everything. It's the island. And when I think about living in Ireland, I think it's kind of a dream, because you're like that adventurer who is always somewhere apart, who knows. When I think about people living in these islands, I think they know something nobody knows. I don't know. It just makes me feel like they are unusual. They are different. So about your country, just what is your hometown in this very beautiful and unusual place, New Zealand?
So where I was, well, I guess I was born in a city called Christchurch, which is in the South Island. It's quite a big city, but we moved up to the North Island when I was maybe 1 or 2 years old. So most of my life, well, my whole life, I grew up and lived in a city called Cambridge.
Cambridge, like
Cambridge,
Cambridge?
which is, yeah, Cambridge, which is like in England. There's Cambridge, and Cambridge University is a pretty big university.
Yeah.
But Cambridge in New Zealand is just a small town. We only have 20,000 people that live there, but it's very close to Hamilton, which is a bigger city. Hamilton has, I think, 600,000 maybe. It's one of the probably top 5 cities in New Zealand. It's quite big. But Cambridge is, I guess we're called the town of trees. There's a lot of trees just everywhere, all through the streets. We have a lot of horses, a lot of farmland, a lot of cows and sheep, milk, and different things like that.
Oh my God. So like you're surrounded by the animals, like nature and everything, which is like in B, but without.
Kind of, yeah. Like there's still suburban area, where like we have streets obviously, and like a high school and different shops. But if you get a little bit outside of the city, there's kind of what's called a green belt, which is like just a big section of grass around the outside of the city, and then outside of that is like all farmland.
Oh my God. Sounds really cool. Okay. And what is it like to live apart from people? Like, it's not apart from people. I mean, what is it like to live on island? Does it like mean that it's hard to go somewhere to travel? Does it mean that it's more expensive to like move all over the world or something? What does it mean to live on island?
Definitely. Okay. I think, yeah, sometimes we do feel like we're far away from like the big hubs of Europe and America and Africa. But I think a lot of people in New Zealand have actually traveled, which is, yeah, kind of surprising now that you mention it, because we're so far away. Most of the time we need to go through Australia to get anywhere, which is a lot of flying. It's not like America where you can just fly from America to Europe or something like that. So sometimes I guess there's good and bad things about being on an island. When there's maybe conflict in the world going on, different wars and stuff like that, we're usually pretty relaxed because we're far away. Nobody's going to come bother us for our sheep or our milk. But then on the other side, we have not bad, just things that are annoying sometimes. Like if we want to order something from Amazon, it might take a little longer.
Oh, yeah. All this modern life, when you are able to order something from another part of the world, like from other end, and it is kind of difficult for you because of that place.
A little bit, yeah. We still can get stuff, obviously. It'll just take a little longer, which is okay.
Okay. And about your city, Cambridge, what is special about this place? What is special about Cambridge, the city? You said it's about the area and the nature which surrounds you, but what is also special, like maybe three interesting facts about that city, which
Yeah.
nobody knows?
So, as I said, the town of trees is like our kind of our nickname, but we're also called the town of champions. because not too far out of our city, like pretty much still in the city, is a big lake, which is connected to a river. And so at the lake, we have, I guess it's called High Performance New Zealand Rowing Headquarters, rowing. So we have a lot of Olympic medal rowers, as well as there's a lot of cycling that's involved in Cambridge. We have a velodrome there. So there's a lot of people that cycle, triathlon, a lot of different horse riders that compete at the Olympics and stuff. So that's another thing which is kind of strange for us being a small city, is that we have so many people that live there or that are from there that compete in the Olympics. So yeah, Town
Wow.
of Champions, kind of what
Wow.
our other name is.
Cool. Really cool. Okay. And what else? What about people there? And are they maybe different from Russians, or what about like New Zealand people and Russian people? Is there any difference for you?
Um,
Communication or
I
anything?
think a little bit, yes. Specifically for my town, it's quite small, like I said. So we have, like, a lot of people. And when you're walking around to the shops and stuff, you're going to see somebody that you know and going to be friendly, of course. But I think in general, New Zealand is a pretty peaceful place and people are quite friendly. Whereas I've noticed here in Russia, and not just here in Russia, but also in other countries in Europe, that people are more, I guess, reserved. Like for me to walk past you in the street and to say "Dobre utra" or "Dobre din," sometimes I'll get a funny look from somebody like, "I don't
Yeah.
know you." Whereas in New Zealand, doing something like that is, I guess, more accepted, and it happens more often. You just walk past somebody, "Hello, how are you? Nice to see you," something like that.
So people are more open to communication with anyone. Wow.
Yeah, most of the time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay. And by the way, about the people living in New Zealand, is it true that I've read the fact that people in Zealand are like they prefer the fact that everybody calls them Kiwi or something like that? You know, about people who live in New Zealand, they say that they like when somebody calls them Kiwi, and they call themselves Kiwi too, because of
Yeah.
the bird which is flying and living in New Zealand. Is it true?
Yes. So yes. So our native bird, and I think it's actually just our native animal in general, is the kiwi bird, which is, I'm not sure if everybody knows what that is, but it's a small little brown bird
Yes.
with a long beak,
Yeah.
that can't fly. It just walks around in the nighttime on the ground and eats worms. So that's our native, I guess, icon, our native animal. So yeah, quite often we call ourselves Kiwis, and people will call us Kiwis, the Kiwis versus the Aussies or Australia or something like that. Um, but yeah, it's quite interesting because the Kiwi bird, usually when countries have a bird that's their symbol, it's, a strong, big, mighty bird like
Yeah.
America,
Or the
eagle. I think
eagle. Yeah.
eagle. Russia also has eagle, two-headed eagle. But the Kiwi bird can't fly. It walks around in the nighttime. It's kind of blind. But that's our native animal.
It's very unusual because this this bird is without wings even. It's really small. It's when I looked at it, it seemed from the first sight it's colibri. I
What
thought
was that?
colibri, the bird, really small. It lives in jungles. That bird,
Okay.
colibri, it's very colorful. It has a very colorful flower. It's so small. It's like teeny, teeny, tiny bird, colibri. And I looked at that one at kitty, and I thought like, oh, is it colibri? What? Then I looked at pictures and saw it doesn't have wings. I like got an idea that it's a different one. It's so interesting. So when you like introduce the person, or when you just meet a new person, you can say like, "Hi, I'm Kiwi Rose," or how?
No, not quite like that. I mean, I'd say hi, like, yes, I'm Tane Rose. I'm a Kiwi, or I'm from New Zealand, I guess.
Oh my
So
God, I'm a Kiwi.
when people from America or Russia say that, like, oh, we need to buy some kiwis and eat some kiwi, I love to eat kiwi. Um, it kind of makes me think, wait, what? Because we in New Zealand say kiwi fruit. We have to specify kiwi is kiwi fruit because there's also the bird, and then we also are called kiwis. So
If you say I eat kiwi, they can think like you eat birds or something.
yeah,
Seriously?
or even us. We don't know.
Oh my God. It's funny. It's funny and confusing a little bit. Like if you're, for example, the foreigner who comes to New Zealand and you say, hi, I eat kiwi. Do you like kiwi or something? You can be like looked very strange.
Yeah,
Funny.
it would be. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And what else about country? About hobbies, really, like I had a really interesting question. Have you been on the trails of the Hobbit and Hobbit film or in the places where it was filmed?
Yeah. So there are a few places definitely. Um, from my house, actually, 20-minute drive from my house is Hobbiton, which is where they have all the Shire. That's where the Shire is, and where they filmed The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings when they're at the Shire.
Oh my God.
I haven't specifically been there myself because it costs a lot of money, and I live very close, so I can kind of see it anyway. I haven't specifically paid and gone into the attraction. But also, about an hour drive from me is Lake Taupo, which is the biggest lake in New Zealand. And there's a river which kind of exits from the lake, which is called the Waikato River. And at the very start of that is a very short section of whitewater rapids, which is where they filmed the part in The Hobbit when they're in the barrels. You might have seen that part when they're in the barrels going down the river. In The
You
Hobbit.
know, actually, I haven't seen all the parts, but I just know a lot about that film. That moment, I actually don't remember.
Anyway, yeah, so that's one section of whitewater that I've been to, and it's just part of the river. You can just go look at it anytime. And then also another place which I've been to is the place where I go snowboarding and skiing in the winter. It's called Mount Ruapehu, which is right next to another mountain, which is called Mount Tongariro, and another mountain, Mount Narahoe. And Mountain Narahoe is Mount Doom. So in the Lord of the Rings, there's Mount Doom, which is that perfect volcano-looking one. That's Mount Narahoe, which is right next to the mountain where I go snowboarding. So when I go snowboarding, I can look over and see Mount Doom right there.
Oh my God. You know, when you tell me the names of all these mountains, I feel like I have never heard the language like that. Like, oh, by the way, what about languages in New Zealand? Are there three official languages which they speak, right?
Yes. There's 3 official languages. Yeah.
And one of them is like specifically a sign language, right? Or
Sign language, correct. Yeah.
oh my God, like, do you know the New Zealand Sign Language?
No, not personally. I know a little bit because a friend of my parents was deaf, so then they learned sign language a bit more, and then they taught me a little bit. So I can do the alphabet, which is that's about it really for me. A little bit of other stuff, but there are quite a lot of deaf people, I think, which is why it's one of our official languages. And then English is also, of course, an official language. And then there's another language, which is the native language, the Maori language, which is the people who were on New Zealand before the British settled. That's their language, is another official.
Mm-hmm. So, are you able to like live in your place without really knowing how to speak a sign language? Like,
Yeah, definitely.
so
English
that.
is
Mhm.
spoken by the majority
Mhm.
and is everywhere. If you can speak like a lot of people in New Zealand, including myself, don't know a lot of sign language or Maori, and so you're fine. That's all you need.
Okay, I got you. You also mentioned the climate question, like you said in Russia, it's cold for you in winter. You know, I also know that in New Zealand it's quite cold too. Like it's also cold there. Not also, but the summer even there is not hot. It's like usually it's maybe 20 degrees above zero or something. Am I right that in Russia and in New Zealand the climate is practically the same? I mean, in winter, or
Um, kind of. So the North Island where I live,
Mhm.
in the winter, it only would get down to maybe 0 or -5, maybe -8 max. That's the coldest that it would get to. In the summer, it would get up to 20, 25, sometimes even 30 in those very hot days. But the South Island is obviously more south, so it's closer to Antarctica, uh, which also means that it's gonna, in the winter, get colder. I believe down there it can get down to -20, -25, possibly. Um, and in the summer, it gets warmer, but maybe only 20-ish, maybe 25, because it's quite a bit further south, whereas the North Island is closer to the equator, more tropical, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. Oh my God, thinking just about that place like about another world, because everything is completely different from us. I mean, the climate, the seasons, the just the place, the nature, the fact that you are far away from like this is the island and everything. It's very interesting, and unusual. I'm so glad to have you as a friend, like just because it means that we're able to communicate with anyone around the world. It means that it doesn't matter where you live and what you do, you can meet someone somewhere you don't even know where and who, and just become friends. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, and also I wanted to ask you some questions about like your life, your usual life. What is the life of like Tiny Rose? I mean, when you are in your home place, what does your life usually look like? Is it active, or how do you spend days? What do you do now? Currently, you are on a mission, but if not on the mission, so what? What do you do? What do you pay a lot of your attention to?
So back home before I came to Russia on my mission, and all throughout, I guess, my teenage years, I was very active with different sports. I enjoy sport a lot. I like to play basketball, rugby, volleyball, water polo, all pretty much all the sports I enjoyed playing. And then just recently, after I finished high school, I was still playing team sports occasionally, but also got more into, I guess, adventure sports. So things like whitewater kayaking, surfing, snowboarding when I can, when it's winter, different things like that. So that was, I guess, the majority of my activities. Of course, I would hang out with friends and go do normal stuff, movies, laser tag, escape rooms, all that kind of normal stuff that us young people like to do. Just spend time with friends and yeah, enjoy good company, I think.
Okay. You're always active. You're always active, probably doing something like sports and hanging out. I think in Russia, mm, students or just people of your age or our age, we're the same age, right? Yeah. They
22.
are what?
How old are you?
I'm 21.
I'm 22.
Oh, you're 22, so the same, pretty much the same age. So they are not so active, not that active, because I think it's about the area where we live. We have the concrete houses and everything, and probably it's not that easy to, for example, get out somewhere. I mean, to the nature, to the place where you spend time actively. Yeah, of course, we have some like places to have active time to do sports and like gyms and everything, swimming pools, but it's not that easy to just play the rugby or that all the kind of sports which you want, the football. Yeah, like so do you live in the like home in the house of on the ground, or in the concrete house like a skyscraper in your hometown?
So in my town, we don't have any skyscrapers at all. I think possibly the tallest building we have maybe is 3 or 4 stories. Everybody lives in kind of their own house, which is their own building. My house was 2 stories. So yeah, we had one of the taller ones, one of the bigger ones. Not everybody had that. And in most cities, there's not a lot of, I guess, buildings like we have here with apartments in them. And of course, there are in a few different cities, in the bigger cities like Auckland, Hamilton, Christchurch, Wellington. But majority of people, I'd say, would live in houses, like their own house.
Wow. Okay. It allows you to just easily go out and hand there, like just spend time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Your hobbies or interests, I know that sport just, but is it everything you do, or you maybe you study or work just out of mission?
Yeah, so when I finished high school, I didn't study. I didn't go to university yet. I plan to later though. When I finished high school, I started working to kind of save up for my mission coming to Russia here. So yeah, I worked at a few different places, a tractor dealership selling parts. I worked as like a groundsman at a temple in New Zealand, and also security. A few different jobs, just whatever paid the most. I also worked at a milk dairy factory where milk comes and gets processed into powder and cream and different things like that. Yeah, worked a bit.
Oh my gosh, such different spheres. Just you've tried everything before going to Russia, like before traveling.
Almost, yep. But I also traveled a bit as well while preparing. I went to, like, while I was still working, I had a few holidays, went to Denmark and Sweden, Germany, America. Yeah, went to a few different places. Sorry,
You
can you hear
know,
me?
there is it's like I very hardly hear you.
Just somebody called.
Yeah,
Is
it's
that better?
okay. It's okay. It's okay now. Yeah. And this is pretty actually about your life. You said about traveling, like which countries have you already visited? Is it, yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sorry. I think you muted me.
Yeah. So which countries have you already visited, like around the world?
Um, so throughout my whole life, I've been to, excuse me,
It's okay.
America. I've been to America 3 times. I've been to Fiji for a scuba diving trip. I've been to Denmark and Sweden. Like I said, that was for a triathlon competition. Went to Germany just on holiday. Went to where else? South Africa. I went to South Africa with my girlfriend for a few weeks and visited her family. I went on a cruise with my family to Vanuatu and New Caledonia, which are some smaller islands in the Pacific. I've also been to Australia a few times because I have a few brothers that live in Australia, so I've been over and visited them, and we have quite a lot of family over there, so been there a few times. And I think that might be it. I spent a few hours in Dubai. That one doesn't really count. That was just on the way to South Africa. Stopped there and saw some friends for a few hours.
You know, by the way, I haven't asked you about your family. Tell me a little about your family. Like, is it, you said it's big. Like, how big is it?
So I have 4 brothers, 3 older brothers and 1 younger, and my parents, mom and dad. Yeah, pretty big family, I think.
Okay. What are your parents up to? What do they do?
So my dad is an accountant, and my mum, she is a teacher in a high school. She teaches business and commerce and accounting. That's how they met in university. They're both accountants. So yeah, that's what they do.
Whoa, cool. Okay. What about your brothers? Are they completely different, or they are like the same in some kind of, or in some sorts of, some aspects of life?
I think we all have been definitely pretty active in sport throughout our whole like growing up life. My oldest brother, he lives in Australia now. His name is Ashley. He works in the gold mines. He drives trucks and diggers and all those big machineries to get the gold. He has a wife and 3 daughters. My second oldest brother, Ammon, he also lives in Australia, in the same town actually, and he kind of works in the gold mines also part-time. My third oldest brother, Seth, he lives here, well, he lives in New Zealand. He works on the temple grounds there. He's like the head groundsman. He has a wife, 2 sons, and a daughter. Then there's me. And then my younger brother, Trent, he's at the moment studying to be a pilot in New Zealand.
Wow, really cool. And I wanted to, uh, I had a question. I've lost it. My God, I've lost it. Okay. I actually have like one as like when one topic to talk about. It's like America, and you're traveling there, but I see it's like 9:59, so we can probably stop here, and so that you can do everything you planned. And talking to you, like, and having such an opportunity to take an interview from you, it's just such a big thing for me. Thank you for your for the fact that you agreed. Thank you for that. Thank you for time you like devoted to that. And just I hope um, we have the next like meeting. I also want and I wanted to make such a meeting from a different place, from the street or somewhere where it's like brighter, and the blue sky and everything. It would look very beautiful. And also, I just want to have another meeting with you, talking and everything. We can meet not on the interview, but just sometimes when you when you're bored or everything. Um, yeah, so I'm very happy to have you as a friend, to know you, and to communicate with you. Oh
Sorry.
my God.
Yes,
It's
definitely. I'll be keen to call again. Yeah, as you said, I think I have to go in a minute. We got a meeting.
Mhm.
But yeah, we could definitely call again and keep talking. That would be super.